Touchdown, Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I'm your host, Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribers, hit the notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube page. We will be here each week to break down the latest in Crimson Tide football recruiting news. So what is there to talk about when it comes to Alabama football recruiting after they signed one of the best classes that Nick Saban has ever signed at Alabama during the early signing period? Well, of course, we're going to sort of transition over to the 2024 recruiting class, with the Crimson Tide already having commitments from 5 2024 commits already rated as one of the top classes in that particular recruiting cycle. But the Crimson Tide are not completely done with the 2023 recruiting class. And I think the one guy who many are talking about is Cormani McClain, the 5-star defensive back out of Florida, the number 1 cornerback in the nation according to multiple recruiting sites. I've had an opportunity to see this guy in action a couple of times at the Under Armour Future 50. I saw him compete. I also saw him compete recently at the Under Armour All-America practices, and he looks the part. He definitely is deserving of his rating. Long, lengthy cornerback, long arms, just has everything from a physical standpoint that you want out of a corner. Of course, he's going to need to add on some size and some mass to his frame if he wants to compete at the next level, at a high level, but he definitely has some of the things that you are going to look for when you are evaluating a future Power 5 corner in terms of his technique and everything that he brings to the table. His recovery skills is really elite as well, but of course he's verbally committed to Miami. The Crimson Tide are one of the teams who are supposedly in the mix for him, along with Colorado and Deion Sanders. Of course, going back to the Under Armour All-America event, which I got an opportunity to attend and cover, McClain did not do any interviews with reporters. Of course, reporters were definitely waiting to do interviews with him and wanting to do interviews with him. As soon as he walked into the media day, he was swarmed by reporters, but he said he was not doing interviews during the media day, and he refused to do interviews throughout the Under Armour All-America event up until the game where he did that interview on ESPN. He said he was signing on January 15th. Of course, he will be not be signing a national letter of intent because the early signing period is over. The early signing period was 3 days in December. Once that period is over, you can only sign a national letter of intent in February during the traditional signing period. So Cormani McClain is set to announce a commitment on January 15th. This weekend, we will see what he will do. Will he stick to his commitment in Miami? Will he flip it to Alabama? Will he flip it to Colorado? Like I said, he would not be able to sign a national letter of intent, so this could possibly not be a final decision for McClain. So he could possibly make a decision on January 15th and change his mind on National Signing Day and flip to another school once he signs a national letter of intent. So with the Crimson Tide, Colorado, and Miami in the mix for McClain, I think the Tide want him. The Crimson Tide's commits and signings made that very clear during the Under Armour All-America event. Richard Young basically saying, without saying McClain's name, that he is the guy that he was going to recruit. We all know what Richard Young has done for the Crimson Tide during this 2023 recruiting cycle. The Crimson Tide had a lot of other signings participating in that event. You had Tony Mitchell, Desmond Ricks, Olas Elanin, Miles McVay. I know a lot of you guys see that picture floating around, which McClain posted to his IG story recently, with him taking a picture alongside the Alabama signees after the game. So some of the things that we do know is that McClain is supposedly set to announce a decision and sign something on January 15th. We also know that the Crimson Tide, Miami, and Colorado are the teams supposedly in the mix for the 5-star lengthy corner out of Florida. We also know the Crimson Tide want him, and they would welcome him into the 2023 recruiting class, although I feel they would be just fine if he does not come to Tuscaloosa. But I think the Crimson Tide are definitely still open to adding Cormani McClain to their class. Colorado is as well. Deion Sanders, of course, one of the best cornerbacks to ever play the game of football. I'm pretty sure that situation and that opportunity is something that McClain has to look at. In my opinion, just watching that interview and just looking at his particular situation that he's in my opinion, I think he is struggling with his decision. I think that's easy to see here. I actually thought early on that he could be playing the NIL game, and it's something he is not. I don't think he is doing. By just looking at the way NIL is structured and the way that college football recruiting is structured, we could possibly see a recruit in the future use this as a leverage to get a better NIL deal. Again, not saying McClain is doing that, but that is something that we could see down the line from a particular recruit in the future. So that is just something to keep your eyes on. But McClain is set to announce a commitment or a decision on January 15th, and he will sign something, not a national letter of intent, because like I said, he will only be able to sign a national letter of intent in February. The early signing period happened in December. You can only sign during that 72-hour window. So that is what I wanted to open today's show on. Talk about Cormani McClain and the Crimson Tide's pursuit for him. I do feel the Crimson Tide, like I said, they will welcome him into their class. We'll see what happens. I think most people don't know what is going to happen on with McClain. So we are excited to just watch how all of this will play out. But switching our focus to the Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class. Like I said, a lot of our focus and a lot of our attention will be focused more towards the 2024 recruiting cycle, with the Crimson Tide signing that historical 2023 class, at least on paper, one of the best classes that Saban has ever signed. But the Crimson Tide are off to a running start in the 2024 recruiting class with these prospects, starting with Jalen Mbakwe, product of Clay Chalkfield High School in Alabama, one of the top cornerbacks in the nation, as a star on both sides of the football for Clay Chalkfield High School, projected to be a cornerback at the next level. If I had to project a position for him, had an opportunity to see him participate in camps in the past, saw him play this season. He was really a star at the wide receiver position when I saw him play earlier in the season, but throughout the season he made plays all over the field: kick return, punt return. This is a guy with a lot of speed. At 6'1", weighs approximately 190 pounds. Like I said, he's a guy who is a star because he's a special athlete. I think if he lined up at wide receiver, he would still be a high-ranking wide receiver, possibly a 5-star recruit. That is the type of skill set that he currently possesses. Recently ran the 60-meter dash in 6.96 seconds. Also has recorded a sub 11 100-meter dash. So we know he has a lot of speed, and that is something you want at the cornerback position because it helps in so many ways with recovery skills, keeping up and being able to run with wide receivers. Also, with him having that wide receiver background, he can show off some ball skills at the next level as a defensive back. Along with him, Mbakwe, the Crimson Tide also have 5-star quarterback Julian Sayin locked in. Tide once again recruiting in California, landing a 5-star quarterback after having Bryce Young. Of course, Bryce Young out of Mater Dei High School in California comes to Tuscaloosa, wins the Heisman Trophy, has a great career in Tuscaloosa. Although he did not win a national championship as a starting quarterback, he's projected to be one of the top quarterbacks off the board, currently in the conversation to even be the number 1 overall pick. So the Tide are hoping that they can have the same success or similar success with Julian Sayin in the future. Let's take a look at his game. Of course, all these guys are 2024 guys. We're going to continue to evaluate them. They're going to continue to grow. But looking at Sayin, I think the thing that really stands out is the ability to make throws on the run. You see him being able to improvise a little bit. Of course, that is something that made Bryce Young really special. He's also able to make some great throws, great deep ball throws, drop the ball in the bucket a couple of times. You see him throw the football, and his wide receivers do not have to break stride. He hits them in stride. So you see some great things out of Julian Sayin early. A great quarterback in the 2024 recruiting class. Crimson Tide are fortunate enough to have him on board this early, and when it comes to this recruiting cycle, the Crimson Tide also have a defensive player out of Mobile Christian School in Alabama, and Sterling Dixon. Dixon is a versatile linebacker prospect who basically rushed from the edge throughout his junior season at Mobile Christian School, and he's going to be hard to find a linebacker with more impressive stats. This kid had 172 tackles. He had 39 tackles for loss. He had 18 sacks. That's just crazy, and I think that just shows the fact that he was all over the football field. And when you hear 172 170 tackles. You like, yo, that's unbelievable. But when you take a look at his huddle film, I think it's like 7 to 8 minutes long. So basically, there's a lot of proof there. If your huddle film is that long, you were making a lot of plays. And I think that just has something to do with his effort. As you guys can see, when we got an opportunity to see him play earlier this season against Thomasville, or last season against Thomasville High School, you see him showing some great backside pursuit. No matter where the play is going, this guy is going to show some effort to go and get the football. So that is something I really like out of Dixon, a long linebacker at 6'3". I think he will grow another inch or two, could be 6'4", 6'5" by the time he enrolls at the University of Alabama. He's a versatile linebacker prospect, like I said, with the Crimson Tide. Like him at inside linebacker, but I think he has a future at either position at the next level. I think he's just ready to get the Tuscaloosa in the future and get to work. But of course, before he gets an opportunity to do that, he has to spend another year at Mobile Christian. The Tide also have a commitment from another Mobile area product in Perry Thompson from South Alabama, a long, lengthy, physical wide receiver at 6'4" and 200 pounds. A product of Foley. Of course, when you're Foley High School, you think of a former Alabama wide receiver and you think of Julio Jones. So Perry Thompson is following in the footsteps of Jones with that similar strong frame, a guy who has that mentality to go up and get the football. I think he really growed as a route runner, and similar to Julio, this is a guy who likes to hit. He actually played on both sides of the football for Foley High School this past season. Of course, if you guys are fans of NFL football and fans of Julio Jones, you have seen a couple of times when guys have caught interceptions near him. He saw him basically make great hits, not lay the guy out. So I think Perry Thompson is a guy who has that physical skill set and that physical mindset as well. I think he's going to be a wide receiver who we're going to see just continue to grow and continue to rise on recruiting rankings as his career continues to unfold. Hit the 7-on-7 circuit, hit the camp circuit. I think he's going to be a name you hear a lot during the offseason. I think he's going to have a big senior season at Foley High School as well. Martavius Collins rounds out the Crimson Tide 2024 recruiting class. A tight end, a big body tight end, a guy who has experience being an inline tight end, being able to block. Like I said, like I always say, a lot of times tight end prospects, you see them flex out wide, probably a little bit too much at high school football level. Martavius Collins at Rome High School in Georgia has had an opportunity to be an inline tight end, show off his blocking skills, but also shows the ability to be a big target with that size and that frame that he currently possesses at 6'4", weighing more than approximately 200 pounds. So when we take a look at Collins, if I had to critique his game, of course, a lot of these guys' game has a lot of room to grow. There's holes in it that you can poke when you take a look at the 2024 class. But these guys still developing. They have a long way to go. But when you take a look at Collins, with them being a tight end, I would love to see him catch a couple of more jump balls, go up and get the football a little bit more. But there's a lot like out of Collins here in this 2024 class early for the Crimson Tide. But before I close out today's show, I do want to talk about two prospects who will be on campus on this weekend for the Crimson Tide Junior Day event. Tide will host some of the top recruits in the 2024 recruiting class on this weekend, and opportunity to spend some time with them and their families. They will get an opportunity to meet multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff. Some of these guys will get an opportunity to catch up with Nick Saban. Hopefully, some of them will get offers from Alabama, so we'll have updates on those guys. But I do want to talk about two prospects who plan to be in Tuscaloosa, starting with Aaron Hamilton, a 4-star athlete out of Texas, who the Crimson Tide offered in March. The Crimson Tide's wide receiver coach Harmon Wiggins extended that offer. He will be on campus this weekend for the first time. Actually, he's looking forward to meeting Nick Saban, getting an opportunity to catch up with the Crimson Tide's coaching staff. Said he has been in constant contact with Harmon Wiggins, but he hasn't had an opportunity to meet Nick Saban yet, so we have an opportunity to do that. When we take a look at Hampton, he is a former Texas commit. I think the Crimson Tide at this moment are recruiting him as a wide receiver. When he got that offer from the Crimson Tide not a couple of months ago, but last spring, he told me that he felt that Alabama was wide receiver U. He said they really like his ability to be a deep threat down the field. He's projected to be more of a slot wide receiver, with him standing at 5'11" at the moment. Plays on both sides of the football out of Texas. Is a defensive back and a wide receiver. Like I said, I think he could play either position at the next level, if I had to say so myself. Just taking a look at his film, you see him climbing the ladder there, pulling down the interception, but you also see him be a playmaker on the offensive side of the football. So Hampton is a guy I think the Crimson Tide at the moment are recruiting as a wide receiver. Seems to have a lot of interest in Alabama. He said he loves everything about the program, just looking at it from the outside looking in. So this weekend he had an opportunity to go in the inside and see what all Alabama has to offer. So Hampton is one of the top 2024 recruits who will be in Tuscaloosa, along with Daniel Hill. Hill's the guy I will pay close attention to because he's one of the Crimson Tide's top running back targets in 2024 recruiting class. He has been in Tuscaloosa probably more than, or at least the same amount of time as he's been at any other school. It's going to be hard to find another school that has hosted the Meridian High School running back more than Alabama. Been to Tuscaloosa several times in the past. It's a great relationship with the Alabama's coaching staff. One of their longest running targets here in this 2024 recruiting class. He's on camp, so they seem to really like Hill. We can take a look at Hill. He's a physical running back, like one of those backs who is hard to tackle in the open field, especially with one guy, and arm tackles are not going to work. He's a guy who has some speed to go along with their size as well. So Daniel Hill is a guy I will pay close attention to on this weekend. I think the Crimson Tide are in a really, really good position with Hill. I think they could arguably say that they are already in the lead to land him. I think that they can solidify that lead here on this weekend with his unofficial visit on Junior Day. But that is what I wanted to talk about in this episode of The Process. Just preview Cormani McClain's upcoming decision with him set to sign something on January 15th. I also want to talk about the Crimson Tide's 2024 commits as we basically turn the page to the 2024 recruiting class for the Crimson Tide. Currently have commitments from 5 2024 prospects. Then close it out by previewing the Crimson Tides during the event. We'll have updates from that event after it concludes over at touchdownalabama.com. But thank you guys so much for joining me today on this episode of The Process. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the notification bell so you can be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Then head over to touchdownalabama.com, pick up your subscription today. As always, I am Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown Alabama.
Process.